Hey friends, thanks for clicking on this video, and I hope the information that I'm going to present here you'll find informative and thought-provoking. But before I get into this, I'd like to thank everybody for liking, subscribing, and also leaving your informative comments. I was mildly surprised to wake up the other morning and find out that this channel has reached 1,000 subscribers. So once again, thank you. But more in particular, thank you for sharing it with your bestest buddy. I appreciate it a lot. And yeah, I've got decades of experience with cap and ball revolvers, but mostly, I should say, only in .44 caliber. Until I actually purchased this 61 Navy, I've only been enthralled, or I've been gravitating towards .44 calibers, and this was actually my first .36 caliber, and I really enjoy it along with my other .36 calibers. And if you've been following this channel, you will have known or come to the realization that I acquired a 62 Pocket Navy by Uberti, and as most of us know, there are inherent problems in particular with this 62 Pocket Navy of cap jamming. And if you saw the video that I did just recently, I had 3 cap jams, which was 1 per cylinder. And having recognized that there's an inherent problem with these 62 Pocket Navies, I came across Blackie Thomas on his channel, and he had recently acquired one of these and also experienced the same thing with the factory the factory nipples. And he actually got a hold of some Amco cones, nipples from Taylor's and Company. So I did the same thing, and the reason why I did that is because I did a video previously comparing slick shot with factory cones. I didn't go through the length that I'm about to show you in this video and just doing a comparison, because I was more interested in showing that a person can actually drill, the side of these cones and make your own slick shot. And I also showed that in the previous video with my 51 Navy, I had 3 cylinders and didn't have any cap jams. But if you want to spend the money, that's entirely up to you, in particular if you don't have any access to, the dental tools that are small enough to drill a small enough hole. So as I carry on here, I want to give a shout out to the YouTube channel Black Powder Guide. I came across one of his videos in the recent past that's entitled in part Cap Jams, a $35 fix. And I was really impressed with the information that he had provided on that channel, because what he did is he took the slick shot cone and a factory cone and did a side-by-side measurement. Now, since I have these Amco cones, I would just like to expand upon that just a little bit more, because when it comes to my 62 Navy, as of right now, I have 5 Uberti factory cones, brand new. They've never been fired. And how did I come to be in possession of those? Well, when I bought my 61 Navy, I immediately swapped the cones out for slick shots. So what's in my 62 Navy are brand new cones from Uberti, which came out of my 61 Navy. So I'm going to kind of clear the table here a little bit and get things set up, because I've already done all the measuring off camera, and I'm just going to kind of point to some things that should be obvious when I get to the numbers of the measurement. And I've used dial calipers, And I also have a set of tip cleaners that oxygen and acetylene welders would use to clean out their tips. And these are pretty accurate. So when I found the tip cleaner that inserted into the hole properly, then obviously I just took and measured what that was. It may not be the best way of doing it, but that's the only way I have of doing it. So I would like to share some of those results with you. And my comparison is with the slick shot, because obviously I have a set of slick shots not only in this gun but in some of my other cap and ball revolvers, and obviously the factory and these Amco cones. So let me get resituated here and I'll walk you through my findings. Okay, having repositioned the camera, and from my perspective in the view screen everything is upside down, so bear with me as I try to move my items into the view of the camera for the close-ups. And at this point I'm not taking out the slick shot or the factory cone. I'm just going to be describing everything from the perspective of the Amco cone. Okay, so in the slick shot, what I got for a total height, which is, let me see here, which is from the very base of the threads to the very, very top. On my notes, I have called that total height. So that would be the total height that I'm measuring. On the slick shot, I got 0.485. Okay, it's a little short of a half inch being 0.500. So that's the total height of the slick shot. Okay, now my next measurement that I took from the slick shot was the total height of the cone from the shoulder, and I measured it from the lowest part of the shoulder to the top of the cone. Okay, and all three cones will follow the same measuring points. So on the slick shot, from this part of the shoulder to the top of the cone, I got a 0.235. Okay, and then the shoulder thickness would be this, let me get in the camera, this part of the shoulder to the bottom part, which would set in your cylinder. Okay, so it's just this little portion right here. That's what I've measured. And on the slick shot, I got a 0.063. Now I also took the time to measure the height of the threads. Now this is going to play into this dialogue in just a little bit. And I think, from my perspective, in my opinion, it's an important aspect of these Amco cones as opposed to the slick shots and or the factory. Okay, so the thread height on the slick shot was a 0.191. Okay, and obviously these are in thousandths of an inch. And then the touch hole size on the slick shot was a 0.036. Okay, so once again, the total height was a 0.485. The total height of the cone from once again the low part of the shoulder was 0.235. The shoulder thickness was 0.063, and the thread height was a 0.191, and the touch hole was a 0.036. Now the Uberti, the total height was a 0.479. So obviously it's only 0.006 of an inch shorter in height, total height, than the slick shot. The total height from the cone from that low part of the shoulder was a 0.259. So when it comes to the Uberti, this portion of the shoulder is thicker, okay? Don't think that's really going to play into anything that has to do with the cones. The shoulder thickness on the Uberti was a 0.042. So the shoulder thickness on the Uberti cones are actually a little bit thinner by about maybe 19 thousandths, something to that effect, which really is not a whole lot, but it's just not a whole lot. Now the thread height, once again, the thread heights from the base here to where the touch hole is on the Uberti is a 0.170. Now the slick shot was a 1.91. So once again, you're talking 20 thousandths difference in the thread height. And then in the Uberti factory, the touch hole was a 0.041, which is a little bit bigger than the slick shot, only by about, what, 4 or 5 thousandths. So the difference between the touch hole sizes between the factory Uberti and the slick shots is only 5 thousandths of an inch. That's very, very negligible. I mean, honestly, if you have a loose drill chuck, you could easily, get that hole to be wobbled out by 5 thousandths. Now, I want to get to the Amco, which is what I've been using here to show. Total height of the Amco is 0.504. So the total height really is right at a ½ inch. Okay? The height of the cone from the lowest part of the shoulder is 0.252, which the Uberti cone has a little bit thicker shoulder of by about 7 thousandths, which once again is not much. And the shoulder thickness on the Amco is 0.031, which ends up being the thinnest of all the shoulders at that measuring point. And the thread height, now this is going to make a big difference. The thread height on the Amco, which is from this point up here, is 0.217. Now, the thread height on the Uberti, just to reiterate, was a 0.170, and on the slick shot was a 0.191. So obviously on these Amco, the threads are much, much taller, okay? And then the touch hole size was a 0.027. So obviously the touch hole size is much, much, much smaller than the slick shot or the Uberti. And if you ever go across the channel, Blackie Thomas, the reason he went with the Amco is because the touch hole is way smaller, which does prevent some of that blowback coming through a much larger touch hole, which does, I don't want to say stop the cap sucking or the cap jamming or anything like that, but it will go a long way in helping cure that problem. Now, the Amco, I've already fit some caps, or I should say a cap, because I tried CCI number 10s, won't even go on the cone. And the CCI number 11s fit perfectly. Now, this is where I believe a little bit of difference is going to be made in these Amco cones. I need to reposition the camera to get in a little bit of light because I'm going to install this onto the cylinder of my 62 pocket Navy, and I want to show you, friends, the difference in the thread depth. Okay, I'm hoping the camera is going to be able to pick everything up well enough, but I think at this point you can see the bronze color Amco cone as opposed to the factory Uberti cones. I have a light right here, and I don't know if this is going to help or hinder, but the point that I'm trying to make is that when you take a look at the bottom of the cylinder with your factory cones, the threads on the cone do not protrude all the way to the bottom of the cylinder. Okay. Now the Amco cone, because we've already determined that it's got much deeper threads, or I should say taller threads. You probably can't see it in this view, but that cone actually protrudes all the way through to the bottom, and it actually sets a little proud of the bottom of the cone. Now, whether that'll really make any difference or not, I can't speak to that, but when we go out to the shooting range, we'll find out. But I think the biggest thing, the biggest takeaway from all of this is the fact that that Amco cone has a very much smaller touch hole, even compared to the slick shots. The once again, just to reiterate, the touch hole in the Amco was 0.027, and the slick shot was 0.036. So we've got 11 thousandths difference. In a touch hole, that'll make a huge difference, in particularly as it pertains to the blowback. So I guess let's head out to the range. I'm going to first load up with my factory cones that are already on the cylinder, and we'll shoot a couple cylinders, see what happens, and then I'll swap out to the Amco cones, and then we'll see what the difference is, if any. Now, I will state right here that when it comes to the Amco cone, there's not much of a difference between the height between here and what would be, the base or the top of the cylinder. When I look across it, it's just a hair taller than what the factory cone is, but I don't know that that's really going to make a difference. I know there's some guys out there that talk about, the end of the travel, and when you take your revolver and you, let's see, let me get in the camera, and you do this at the end of the travel, there seems to be maybe too much play, like there's still not enough spring tension to keep it on the cone. And that's why I think, if I remember correctly, the gentleman that I referenced earlier liked the slick shot, because it was much taller, and the slick shot actually set almost flush with the top of the relief here, where the cones would, set. So we'll head out to the shooting range, and we'll either test all those theories, or maybe I'll be debunking all these theories. So let's head on out. Alright, I'm out here at the range. My 62 pocket Navy. It's already loaded up. 20 grains, 3F Goex, pre-lubricated felt wad, 380 round ball. And obviously I'm not looking for any accuracy whatsoever. I'm just looking for reliable ignition. And I just kind of wanted to give a little close-up of the last target that I shot with this. If you'll recall, I talked about these not really being target pistols. They're just pistols for up close work, and I get up close within 5 paces of the target and let go of the 5 rounds. And going back and editing it, I know where the rounds hit, and I just kind of wanted to give you a close-up before I check this for ignition reliability. Okay, here's the target. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In editing this round ball belongs over here. So up close and personal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then at 16 yards. So I think it kind of validates the point that I was making, that these pistols are not for target practicing, they're for up close and personal work. So what I have set up on my range, we zoom in on it and reposition the camera. I have 4 clay pigeons. Once again, I'm not looking for any accuracy, I'm just looking for reliability. So let's see what she does. And from right here, I don't know if I'll be in the shot or not. But here goes. Cap jam. Well, go figure. Okay, just real quick, before I recycle this, I'll show you where the cap jam was, because the cap did not fall down into the action until I pulled the hammer all the way back. So what it did is it actually fell off of this cone and it got wedged between, you know, the back side of the frame right here. Wasn't all that bad, but there again, it's not reliable. So let me get these other 2 shot off, and I'm just going to go ahead and put those Amco cones on, reload it, and see what we get. Cap fell off. I'm going to go ahead, trade out the cones, and see if I can get 5 for 5. Okay, now I have the cones swapped out, same grain, charge, same pre-lubricated felt wad, same 380 round ball. Just a little bit of a hiccup. The cap got wedged in the cycle. Well, it was 5 for 5. Let me load it up again and see what we get. All right, let's do this again. Five for 5, no hiccups. I'll try that again. Okay. I will tell you what I probably should have done the first time after I swapped out the cones was to see how much blowback or fouling was on the underside of the hammer. Forgot to do that, but I could tell you it was quite a bit, because after the second round with the Amco, there was still quite a bit on there. So I went ahead and cleaned all that off. And now I've got a clean underside of the hammer. So I'm going to take these 6 shots and see just how much fouling is on the bottom side of the hammer, and that'll indicate, or at least it should indicate, how much blowback is actually getting, you know, past the cone into the underside of the hammer. So I'm going to take these shots and we'll check that out, and we'll determine if I want to shoot any more at that point, because I'll tell you, I've got 3 of these Amco cones that I'm having a little bit of a problem getting those number 11 percussion caps on. It's almost like there's a burr or something wasn't milled exactly correct. If you guys go back on the channel, you'll see that I had purchased another set of slick shots, and I had a similar problem where I had to go back and deburr even the slick shot. Alright, so I'm going to get repositioned, take these 6 shots, and we'll just see how it works. I lost count. That was number 6. It only shoots 5 round ball. Don't know what the hell I was thinking. But anyhow, I don't know how well the camera's going to pick up the back side of the hammer, but there's not a whole lot of fouling there. Not anything more than you would expect from any other revolver right in through here. So, you know what? I'm going to load up another 6 and just keep having some fun. Okay, I don't know for right now, but when I go back and edit it, I think I forgot my safety glasses that last 5 shots. If I did, I'm calling myself a dumbass right now. I'm going to go ahead and get these 5 shots downrange. Hopefully I can clean up a few more of those clay pigeons. Actually, it's not too bad. I'm aiming about a foot below them. Judgment call. I think they call that New Mexico windage. But anyhow, thanks for watching, friends. Thank you for liking and subscribing. And I hope you will share this with your bestest of buddies.